What is poppin', YouTube? We are back again with another video. Today we are walking through week 6. Week 6 just got through the books. Just got done watching the Chiefs versus Bills. So we're going to walk through all the matchups for today, talk about what happened, some instant reactions, as well as we'll look ahead for some weekly waiver wire ads for this week. So without further ado, let's hit that intro. So typically, like I said, we are going to be walking through exactly what happened this week. And first game comes into play. There's some really great performers this week. So as always, we had Joe Burrow, the Cincinnati Bengals, absolutely going to New Orleans. Where's that Jamar Chase-like jersey? Walks in, puts up 32 fantasy points. Jamar Chase had 32 as well. Tyreek Hill, 29. Brandon Ayuk, 28. Surprise, Brandon Ayuk, that was great. Deion Jackson comes in. A lot of people were downing him, saying it wasn't going to be the same. Comes out, puts 28 points. So that was super exciting. That was super exciting to see Deion Jackson put up 28 fantasy points. Had him in a flex in a lot of leagues. A lot of people were debating him in the start sits earlier this week. So Deion Jackson, 28 points. Matt Ryan had 27. Michael Pittman had 26. Ramondre Stevenson had 25. But like I said, let us get into exactly what has happened here today. So first game on the schedule, we're going to talk about, of course, is this big Buffalo and Kansas City game that just got done with. Buffalo ends up winning it 24-20. Patrick Mahomes had 338 passing yards. Stephon Diggs had 148 receiving yards. It was just a good game. It was just an overall good game to watch. Josh Allen, though, 329 yards and 3 touchdowns. I'm sure I'm not allowed to show that on YouTube. Devin Singletary had 17 carries for 85 yards. It was a good game for Devin Singletary. He got all the work. Stephon Diggs had 10 receptions, 148 yards, 1 touchdown. And then my boy, Juju Smith-Schuster, finally came through this week. 5 receptions, 113 yards, 1 touchdown. Finally got the targets. Finally got that first touchdown he's been looking for. So good week overall for that. Nothing really worthy of waiver wire targets, but it was a good game nonetheless, and especially for your fantasy team. Patrick's coming in here saying, I'll take my second loss so much time. Yeah, after that game, yeah, Josh Allen was absolutely crazy. The next game we are going to talk about is San Francisco versus Atlanta. So the big thing that happened in the San Francisco versus Atlanta game is the fact that Kyle Pitts finally caught that touchdown pass. Caleb Huntley had 16 carries for 59 yards. Jeff Wilson had 7 carries for 25 yards. Wasn't great at all. But Brandon Ayuk came out with 8 receptions, 83 yards, and 2 touchdowns. We're not loving this offense. I'm not loving the 49ers offense at all this year, but I don't really have anything really to say other than a good win for the Falcons. The next game on the schedule we're going to talk about is New England versus Cleveland. So New England put up a great game. Bailey Zappi might be what we all want Mac Jones to be. I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if Bailey Zappi is going to be the guy. But I will say this. 24 for 34, 309 and 2 touchdowns is pretty good. Ramondre Stevenson getting all the work, not having to share the rock at all with Damian Harris is awesome. 19 carries for 76 yards and 2 touchdowns. Really impressive there. Nick Chubb did not happen this week. Nick Chubb, 12 carries for 56 yards. We're gonna have to table it. We're gonna have to table it for a second and just say it was this week. Bill Belichick got the best of the Browns offensive line, the Browns offense. We're gonna have to be playing it next week for Nick Chubb. Patrick says down 31, but got AJ Brown and Hurts left. Yeah, I think that'll be interesting. Excited for tonight's game for sure. Trying to get through all the games this week with the recap so that I can definitely jump on and watch the start of the of the Eagles Cowboys game. Super excited for that. So next game we will talk about is New York versus Green Bay. New York comes out. Now, Sauce Gardner. I know we're talking fantasy football, but Sauce Gardner looks good. Sauce Gardner looks absolutely good. Zach Wilson did not look good, though. I think Joe Flacco needs to get back in the game. 10 for 18, 110 yards. Aaron Rodgers, 26 for 41, 246 yards, and only 1 touchdown. So it wasn't a great offensive day for anybody. Breece Hall was probably the only one fantasy football-wise that we're really excited about. Breece Hall put up 20 carries for 116 yards and 1 touchdown. It is Breece Hall season, ladies and gentlemen. We will be talking a little bit of dynasty fantasy football later in the week, but Breece Hall is RB2, RB1, arguably. So it'll be super exciting to see. But like I said, if you're tuning in right now, I appreciate you guys tuning in and being here as we walk through this week's game. My next game we're going to walk through, Jacksonville versus Indy. Paris Campbell, where are you at? Deion Jackson, where are you at? It's super exciting because Michael Pittman had 13 receptions, so this was huge. Michael Pittman had 13 receptions for 134 yards. Deion Jackson had 12 carries for 42 yards and 1 touchdown. Matt Ryan, finally, he threw 58 passes, so it was a ton of passes to be thrown. 42 for 58, 389 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence had a few rushing touchdowns on the ground, 165 yards. Travis Etienne, it was Travis Etienne's breakout week, 10 carries for 86 yards. Super exciting. Nothing really to add for this game at all for waiver wire ads, but it was a good game. And Paris Campbell put up, I think, like 15 or 16 fantasy points. He was on the all cardio team for the last few weeks, so it was good to see that he finally got some carries. The next game we're going to talk about, Minnesota versus Miami. Miami, their starting quarterback gets injured, and they have to then put Teddy Bridgewater, who he is the backup, but they had to end up put Thompson had like a finger injury, so they put Teddy Bridgewater in. 23 for 34, 329 yards, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert got 14 carries, 49 yards. Tyreek Hill got 12 receptions, 177 yards. Justin Jefferson, typical performance. Dalvin Cook was kind of salvaged by that touchdown and that late huge yard run that he had. So it was, we're feeling a little bit iffy about that, but Kirk Cousins, 20 for 30, 175 and 2 touchdowns. Logan, appreciate you stopping in here, my guy. Try to put out fantasy football content. So if you enjoy the channel, I'm going to be going live a lot more later this week. So feel free to subscribe. Would you trade DK and Taysom Hill for either DJ Moore or Chris Godwin with Higbee? To be completely honest, Chris Godwin's probably the best player in this deal. With Higbee and Taysom Hill are kind of similar to me. Taysom Hill's getting those like gadgety plays. So I think I'm leaning DK and Taysom Hill. Even though I just think it's really close between Chris Godwin and DK, and I prefer Taysom Hill. So I hope that helps you, Logan. My next game we will recap here is going to be Cincinnati versus New Orleans. So we talked a little bit about this in the beginning. Joe Burrow absolutely comes out, demolishes, goes back into Louisiana, and super exciting. 28 for 37, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. Joe Mixon, 8 carries for 45 yards. It wasn't great. It wasn't a great performance for Joe Mixon at all. But Jamar Chase comes out, wasn't really targeted in the first and second quarter, but then still ends up with 7 receptions for 132 yards and 2 tutties. So puts him in the top 3 this week for fantasy football points. Alvin Kamara, 19 carries, 99 yards. And then Traquan Smith, 3 receptions for 43 yards and 1 touchdown. Andy Dalton was uninspiring, but, he at least kept them in the game. Dat Bully, Caden 5. I'm down 100.68 to 107.66. I have Cortland Sutton left tomorrow night. Am I safe? I would not say safe. We haven't seen anything great from Russell Wilson. I'm feeling confident, though. I'd feel confident that Cortland Sutton could get like 2 catches for 45 yards. Not 2 catches, like 3 catches for 60 yards is kind of what you need. Logan, I followed you. Keep up the good work with the stream. Hey, appreciate you being here, Logan. Really, really do appreciate it. Like I said, trying to grow the stream. Took some time off, not on purpose. It just kind of happened. But excited to get back and creating content. The next game we're going to walk into, Baltimore versus New York. So we got Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews versus Saquon Barkley for fantasy football purposes. And the surprise of the game is Kenyon Drake. So if you want a good waiver wire target for this week, Kenyon Drake, 10 carries, 119 yards, 1 touchdown. Dude looked explosive. Dude looked absolutely explosive in this offense. So I'm targeting Kenyon Drake as my number 1 waiver wire ad for this next week, especially because we all know running backs have been super volatile this whole season. You have Najee Harris in there. It's not going well. So Kenyon Drake, number 1 priority ad. Lamar Jackson didn't play great. 1 touchdown, 210 yards, 1 interception. Daniel Jones. And if you're starting Daniel Jones, we're feeling pretty risky about it. But Saquon Barkley, 22 carries, 83 yards, and a touchdown. And he would have gotten that second touchdown if he wasn't playing smart, trying to win the game, and, at the 1-yard line sliding instead of just scoring that touchdown for fantasy football purposes. Bellinger, if he is out there and you really need a tight end ad, he's been playing pretty good. He is very touchdown dependent, but let's be honest, every tight end outside of Mark Andrews and Travis Kelce are super touchdown dependent. And the Mark Andrews, 7 receptions, 106 yards, 1 touchdown was a good game for Mark Andrews. My next game we're going to talk about, Tampa Bay versus Pittsburgh. I swear, Tom Brady, bro, whatever's happening with him and his personal life is really affecting the whole Tampa Bay organization. 25 for 40, 243 yards, and only 1 tutty. Chris Godwin, on volume alone was the only reason Chris Godwin put up any points. And Mike Evans was like targeted, but he like really wasn't targeted. 6 receptions for 95 for Chris Godwin. Lenny, 21 carries, 63 yards. I mean, it's just bad. Tampa Bay offense does not look good whatsoever. So we got to put that into consideration as we look into the coming weeks. I didn't really talk about Pittsburgh. I mean, Kenny Pickett got hurt, but what are you going to do? Mitch Trubisky comes in. I saw a really funny Twitter video talking a little bit about Mitch Trubisky, and I feel for the guy. But Chase Claypool emerged today. So I think Kenny Pickett likes George Pickens, and Mitch Trubisky likes Chase Claypool, and Deontay Johnson's good with both of them. Carolina versus Los Angeles. This was just a brutal game to watch. Matthew Stafford only had 250 yards and 1 touchdown, 1 interception. PJ Walker should have been starting. Christian McCaffrey looked super explosive at the beginning of the game. It still ends up 13 carries, 69 yards, and then 7 receptions, 89 yards. PPR monster. I had JT as my 101 at the beginning of this, or not JT. I had JT as my 102, CMC as my 101. I'm still liking that. I just, the touchdowns just haven't been there for CMC to propel him into top level, Saquon Barkley type levels for CMC. Cooper Kupp, 7 receptions, 80 yards. It was just a down game for the offense as a whole. Next game we'll look at is Arizona versus Seattle. And Kyler Murray, what are we doing? I mean, you had to spend a 5th, 6th round pick on Kyler Murray, and it's just not looking too hot. Not looking hot at all. Kyler Murray, 23 for 37, 222 yards, 1 interception. Geno Smith, 20 for 31, 197 yards. But rushing, this is where 10 straight fantasy points here for Kyler Murray with 10 carries for 100 yards. Kenneth Walker III, hopefully you picked him up if he was available on your waivers, because he's not now, and now he's a stud. 21 attempts for 97 yards, 1 touchdown. Noah Fant making an appearance on the top level, receiving with 6 receptions for 45 yards. I need to figure out what DK did this week because I had him in a few leagues. 7 receptions for 70 yards. And then what did DK get? He only got 2 receptions, we're not looking too hot for DK, and 34 yards. So there's a lot that can be talked about and said here. Like we said, Ramondre Stevenson for the Patriots, it's looking like he's finally cementing himself as that RB1, which is super exciting. Trevor Lawrence, like I said, had the rushing touchdowns that really kept him out of his fantasy battle. Mike Gesicki, like that's kind of like the part to me that like I need to determine what are we doing with Mike Gesicki, because it feels like he's touchdown dependent or bust, and I don't know. Mark Andrews, Chase Claypool, Lenny Fournette, Taquan Thornton. Like seeing Taquan get out there and perform. He just got back off of injury. Zappy really likes himself some Taquan Thornton. Breece Hall up there. Kenyon Drake, Robert Tonyan, Paris Campbell making an appearance on the top 25. Paris Campbell, to be honest, he has been open a lot. So if they can finally start to get in the ball, Paris Campbell reminds me a lot of Curtis Samuel. I know it's Ohio State comparison, but that is something that is super exciting for the next few weeks based on the usage, based on the receiving yards that he got. Alvin Kamara, only 18 points. Saquon Barkley, only 18 points. Jalen Waddle, 16. Joe Mixon, 16. Justin Jefferson, 16. Honestly, it was a really down week for fantasy football for this week. But what do? We watch, we prepare more. So like I said, I appreciate everyone for tuning in. We're going to be going live here tomorrow night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. We're going to be going live to help you guys prepare for your leagues. We're also going to be releasing more content. Going to be talking a little bit of Dynasty, talking about some of the 2023 rookies coming up. We're also going to be talking about start sits, weekly wide receiver, running back rankings. So appreciate everyone for tuning in and being here tonight. Diachi, appreciate Broncos defense or Dallas defense. Man, not Dallas. They're going against the Eagles. So I guess we're rocking the Broncos, but I don't feel great about it. I don't really feel great about it either way, to be honest with you. But I'm rocking with the Broncos. I just don't pick the team that's going against Jalen Hurts and Miles Sanders. But we're going to be releasing more content, trying to keep everything under like 15 minutes so that you guys can quickly watch it every day. But appreciate all you guys being here, tuning in, subscribing, liking. Means the world to me. And let us get after it this week and win some more fantasy football games. So catch you guys on the next video.